Welcome to Taboo. I'm your host, Dr. Keisha Powell. On this podcast, we will have courageous conversations based on how people use their pain and turned it into passion along with their walk with God. Hi, my friend. Welcome to Taboo. It is such an honor to have the estimable Shanira Billups on the show. I want to reach out to all the listeners today and say, hey, thank you for listening in. You know, this is the first day of our show, and it's just absolutely a powerful moment. And we're creating history. The whole idea of Taboo is to not only talk about how you turned your pain into passion, but also reaching out to all of God's people and letting them know, hey, that we're here. We're in not only present, but we're here in this moment. And I am just so grateful to be here with you, Shanira. You have inspired me, and today you're going to inspire so many more people.
So I'm excited.
I'm super excited. So without further ado, again, welcome to Taboo. And can you tell the audience about yourself, namely who you are, what you do? We just want to hear about you.
Oh my, talking about myself. I'm so used to talking to others about themselves. So let's see, I'm Shanira Billups. I am a licensed professional counselor and national certified counselor. I have a passion for speaking with others and helping them navigate their way to finding their better lifestyle, whatever that looks like for them. My heart lies within marginalized communities. For those who may not know, those are communities that are lacking resources in terms of knowledge and understanding of what they have as far as available to them to do better. I feel that because we have so many limits or, red lines and tape or whatever have you, people can't get ahead. And then what's even worse is when others don't have the understanding of how limited can get. And I hope to just be that connection in between where individuals from different backgrounds can come to an understanding of each other and really do what we call helping, assisting, being present. And it's a labor of love because there's no way anyone can ever pay enough to be in this field. And I have a passion for special populations. I'm also a mom of a young man who is on a spectrum and has an ADHD. And myself, I'm a late bloomer in terms of, diagnosis as far as ADHD. So this is definitely a neurodiverse household and can get a little kooky sometimes, but that's kind of how we like it here. But it's a structure that we're able to manage because of the love that we share and, again, the understanding. It's all about trust and communication. And I hope to spread that same thing among the people that I roll with now. I do a lot more things. I teach. I do speaking, all sorts of stuff. But ultimately, my best job is a mom.
That's a beautiful job to have. Kudos to your little guy. He is absolutely adorable, and you're an awesome mom. I noticed too that you were saying earlier that you not only with non-for-profit, but what you're doing for the community. Yes. How did this all start?
Oh man. Well, I have to say, honestly, it started from my youth, as far as just seeing how my childhood, I come from definite humble beginnings, but it was always based in family, and that made us feel wealthy enough. We really didn't notice how much we didn't have because my parents never were that way. They're always about making sure we understood the wealth that lied in between ourselves. And I'm not saying that everything was always peachy keen and hunky dory. I mean, we've had crying moments, we had moments devastated. We would see things happening right in front of us that just told us, yeah, y'all ain't got it. But at the end of the day, it was all about coming home to comfort and love. And even as growing up and being able to, move from one place to another and just understanding what stability was. I could remember even purchasing my first house, having my first time where even living on my own without having to depend on, whether or not my parents had it or somebody else had it, being able to say like my own schooling was my responsibility. Those things were markers in my life because of understanding also the separation from just the mindset of I can't have. But then I thought about it. I'm like, I feel blessed to even have been in that position. But in order for me to feel the blessing, I had to have some kind of motivation to move from those things that were trying to bring down so I could really see how blessed that I could be. And I thought about it as I got older and just wanted to go in the field of helps and looking at it as well in terms of dealing with psychology. People get this depiction of, let me sit on your couch and lay across here and I'm going to tell you all my problems. And I'm like, listen, I don't know what kind of Freudian ideal that you have, but understanding the field of psychology, it goes so far beyond that. It's definitely something that we look at and understanding how, why it is that we might internalize those things that we internalize, or in terms of our ideas, understanding the meaning of processing and the importance of adequate processing, understanding the importance of consistency, of knowing patterns and picking up on things, the meaning of mindfulness, being intentional. And all of those things had to do with me being able to grow out of positions that I was in before from youth. And I realized that I didn't want to leave people behind in the sense of like, oh yeah, you know what, let me keep on going. I'm like, all right, so how do I do this? And, slowly but surely I end up being in my own practice because I noticed working for organizations just didn't work for me. And it wasn't because I wasn't able to, but because I seen so much restriction. And I constantly got this feeling of individuals being treated as going from people to products. And it didn't feel good. Yeah. I couldn't say that I was working in integrity in my practice. And ultimately, it came to one year where I experienced a lot of devastating things in my life as far as transitioning. And at the same time of experiencing the devastation, I also seen it as, this is a time to make this a moment that's really a game changer. And so I went into practice for myself. And I also ended up working for a university as a professor. And so it was like just a small beginning of what was going to explode into a series of other things that I ended up joining and doing. And remember, in that same year, I ended up joining with two other colleagues and forming a non-for-profit that now we have a lot of things going on. So here am I now working as the co-founder for Altogether Healing Incorporated based out of New York and Connecticut. And we have a mood and food program and an Arts Together Healing program and the programs for kiddos that's supposed to take place once a month and doing all these kind of lawful, like looking into how we can manage grant funding and and supporting our neighborhoods. And then I have a practice, Mental Growth Internal Healing LLC, and being donned as the Black therapist. I'm like, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but apparently there's a lack of them around. And I'm like, whatever. Yeah. I'm like, whatever floats your boat. I mean, I just keep it real, like keep it cordial, and just being an educator and managing things with my doctorate, like I still can't believe I'm here now. Like, not to say that it was impossible for me to get here, but sometimes we can't mix possibility with probability. Sometimes we really feel that everything's possible, but then we have that piece called probability, and that probability piece is super important. That's the piece that says the likelihood of something happening. And I feel that's where your faith kind of bolsters up things. Now, for myself, I'm a believer. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And, it's like, I can always think things are possible. They tell you that when you're younger, right? Anything's possible. You can do what you want. Everything is possible. But I want to know probability. Being a person who's still a doctoral student, I look at probability as well, because I want to find out what is that determinant that'll cause me to get there. And that's what I look at when I work with these communities. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's a possibility. That's same thing as saying it's equal, but probability tells me about that equity that's going to be happening. And so that's where my connected piece of faith without works is said. So I got to put it to work. So that's where forming all these things and getting to all these things also occurred. And trust me, when I say grit, I mean it 100%, because this is not for the weak of heart, because I've had many crying times and many trying times, and I had to get it together, even with my own health and looking into that. I had to definitely practice what I preach, but I'm so glad that I made the decisions that I have made, because it's been rough, but it hasn't been improbable.
So you took your pain and you turned it not just into a passion, but also a philosophy. And what I like is you're talking about your pain, but each time I don't hear the words, "It wasn't good enough." I hear, "It was a blessing." Could you tell the audience, because one of the things about Taboo, it's also to reach especially our young people, not just only in communities of color, but for everyone. When you say some of that pain that you turn into passion became a blessing, could you kind of, tell us how that became a blessing for you? And we would like to know more.
Sure. So the thing is that, all right, so crazy story, all right? I promise you, it has everything.
Hey, that's what Taboo is about. Courageous conversations.
So when I was in high school, I definitely was into this sport, volleyball. All right. I dealt with a lot of bullying and everything when I was in high school, but I found my release in terms of playing this sport. It was something about bump, set, spike. It just really got me. And I found my zone. Like, I was aggressive. And I think a big reason why I got aggressive in it is just put myself into it. We had a coach, Coach O'Quinn, and I'll never forget, he coached the football team. And so he decided to coach the girls volleyball team as well. So his saying was pain is love and love is pain. He put us through training, like a mini version of training that he put the football guys through. Now, the school I went to no longer exists, but he was dominant in training us. Like, I mean, burpees, everything, just doing it. This is all volleyball, but we came out buff and rough with our Afro puffs. Going with our bad selves. But that always stuck with me. Pain is love and love is pain. And I was trying to figure that out. It's like, how do you do that? Like, how do you make it into love? And what I thought about was, like, suffering, and the suffering that would come about and the good that actually would be yielded from it. And then even deeper than that, like thinking about fruits and thinking about plants. When you plant a seed, before you can get that beautiful plant, that vegetation, there's a breaking of the seed. And so I feel that whenever there is some level of transition, of change, there is always going to be some kind of breaking somewhere, some kind of tear somewhere. Even when you're building muscle, you are literally ripping the cells apart to
That's
rebuild.
true.
So it's about the process, understanding that there's always going to be something of some sort of transition here. But the thing is that still waters bring bacteria. Russian waters bring freshness. Come on, somebody. It's like, that's what it is. It has to be movement. And so it might stink a little. It might be a bit uncomfortable. But even when a child develops in the womb, they start to grow and it starts to become a little uncomfortable. They realize the space is no longer the space that they've known to be before. But if they don't leave, they will die. So it's a matter of being willful and changing and being all right with the change and just letting yourself go through the process. Even with couples, when you're talking to each other, communication, I tell them all the time, expect an argument, but conflict can be conducive. Conflict can be a positive thing. It's about how you carry about that conflict. Don't be selfish in the conflict. Try to find a basis for it. Have it where it becomes a conversation and it's necessary.
Yeah, I've often said to my patients that sometimes you have to be uncomfortable to be comfortable, and you have to learn to sit in that, in being uncomfortable sometimes in order to go through whatever process that you're supposed to go through. And I appreciate what you're saying, because especially what you learned from the coach, that was very profound. And that's one of the reasons I have said to you many times how you use the intricacies of your life, how interwoven your passion is, and that you're taking not only your pain, but you actually change the narrative for your life, which leads me to the next question. If you could change anything that you could have changed about yourself, what would you change? Would you change anything now? Or are there things that you think you'd keep?
Well, I could be the usual person who tries to be so moralistic and say, I wouldn't change a bit because I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. I'll be honest, I'd probably change plenty. I probably changed the way I looked at spending habits. I probably changed a little bit more of the way I had seen people or whatever the case may be. Now, mind you, the past is past and now is now. So what's done is done. And I have a great level of acceptance that continues to build every day, because we're always going to look back or retrospect. They say hindsight is 20/20, right? So yeah, thinking about now, of course, there's plenty that I would feel like I would want to change based upon the results that I would see if, I would apply things the way I do now. Because if I knew then what I know now, yeah. But the thing is that now is now. And I just want to be able to embrace that even more. And I'm hoping within the next few minutes, my little person doesn't ring the doorbell. But I love the living in the now, because it continues to challenge me and helps me to grow. Again, there's plenty that I'm sure that I could just look back and be like, yeah, I changed this, I changed that. I probably changed the way I eat. I probably changed, this person. I wouldn't make this person my friend. I would make this person my friend. I would sleep with this person. I wouldn't sleep with this person. I would I'm grateful that things happened the way they did. And it was rough, but I am able to say that the probability just keeps on growing.
Amen. Amen. Your faith is strong, very strong. So what's next for you?
The world! Like Pinky and the Brain.
Oh, I love that cartoon, Pinky and the Brain. That was one of my favorites.
I love Pinky and the Brain. It was just, oh my gosh. See right there, next brain. Like, he can't get rid of them. But I have a few collaborations lined up under the Mood and Food program that I've run, and it's really exciting to see how individuals are taking even more seriously the connection between our mind and our bodies in terms of our health and wellness. And that's the whole point of the Mood and Food program, knowing what it is that we are consuming, and even more so what our environment produces around us that we are even subconsciously consuming. So even beyond the food, as far as the substance that we put in our mouths, but just the atmosphere that soaks into us, that's almost like a food in itself, just like the plants soak in the sun, developing chlorophyll, like what we expose ourselves to. It's so important for us to be mindful of that. And I want to explore the road of mindfulness because there's so much that's undiscovered within us that when we take the time to really tap into our potential and knowing what is God-given, that we can find things and explore things that we never probably would have imagined and even be of a healthier consciousness. So I'm really hopeful for that, as that being next. So yeah, that's what I got.
Definitely a Pinky and the Brain moment, ruling the world. But you know what? Also, I want to not only applaud you, but thank you for creating that program, Mood for Food.
Mood and Food.
Mood and Food, because it's sad to say this, but for a country that is supposed to be very wealthy in the world, we have so many people who are in need, and I will never understand it. It doesn't have anything to do with Republicans or Democrats. I think all politicians should be paying more attention to this, and we aren't. The other day when I heard that $14 million was donated for a political rally, and I'm thinking about there's so many people out there who are not only homeless, they're starving. And then there's Shanira Billups, who is fighting just for one morsel to feed someone else. So for me, I'll never understand the concept. But hey, this is what Taboo is about, courageous conversations.
It's dollars drive decisions. That's
and we're telling all our politicians, we're calling you out, like, hey, listen, time to step up to the plate. Wake up, America. We need you to start looking at people and not just saying, oh, they need help, but actually do it, right?
Exactly.
Not creating probabilities, but making it possible, making it happen.
Yes.
And that's what I want. I want more people to hear this, that you're not alone. You know, you have inspired me, and I'm sure tonight you're going to be inspiring millions of people across the world, and God bless you. You know, what advice can you give our listeners to empower them in turning their pain into passion?
Don't you ever give up.
Amen.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't. Just don't. Everything will tell you no. But sometimes you'll hear 1,000,001 no's before you hear that yes. But soon enough, those no's, those voices of those no's will die out or die down, because sometimes it's our very selves doubting. Don't give up. Understand what drives you, and you feed that thing. You feed what you want to hear.
Yeah. Very powerful. Very powerful. On that note, I want to say thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for being the opening person for Taboo.
Oh, for real?
I cannot believe Taboo moment. You know, I want to say that for not just for us, but for everyone, you can turn your pain into passion. You can. Everything is possible. There's nothing that is impossible. And as long as you are open, you stand in your faith, you stand in your truth, you stand in your conviction, you can overcome everything. Shanira, you are a role model for so many people. Not only are you a mother, a model, an advocate, a non-for-profit organizer. You do so many things, a professor, a doctoral student, and a woman of power. Thank you for all you do for us, for so many of us. We thank you. It has been an honor.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, my sister.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again for joining us on Taboo. Tune in next week for another invigorating episode when we speak with another expert, turn their pain into passion. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Keisha Powell. Contact us at www.powelltherapysolutions.com or join us on Facebook at Taboo From Pain to Passion. Remember, you're loved.
This is a production of Artist Haven Media.